What's going on, creators? Yeah, I just want to get on here and bring everybody back to now. Appreciate y'all being here and vibing with me for a bit. Yeah, today I want to continue the mental diets and focusing on what makes you feel good and what is bringing you joy and peace. And really, if you're finding yourself maybe being triggered by like social media, maybe you get up first thing in the morning and flick on Facebook or Twitter or Gab or any of these networks. The next thing you know, it just spins you out the rest of the day. Maybe try not doing that anymore. Start looking at your patterns and realizing so much of the things that we did yesterday are confronting us in the present moment. And with that, if it's constantly these triggering events or just stuff that's definitely in your control, where it's like I can choose whether or not to look at a screen today first thing when I get up and start to impress my subconscious with this, where I could, change my life around a little bit, and instead of going to social media, maybe just reading a Bible verse instead, or just nothing, it's probably better than social media first thing when you wake up, because it really kind of sets the pace for the day. And so as you kind of going forward, just start to be more mindful of these patterns and these things that happen every single day, and if it's preventable and beneficial to start moving in a different direction, start doing that. One of the things I noticed from like quitting smoking like cigarettes and stuff, it's like you get in these like patterns, and when you change the pattern from what you're used to, like I'm used to at the moment, waking up and drinking a couple cups of coffee, this is like when you first start to change these things, it really kind of leaves you in this weird space of like, well, what do I do to fill this? Because it's like a void. And even in so many things are like that. If you don't find something to replace it or to maybe reinterpret it, or as like Neville Goddard would describe it as like revision. If you could tell yourself a different story about something, but like when you let go of a pattern that's been with you for years, it leaves you open to a new interpretation, which is something that you can start to like ask, believe, receive, and get some of those kind of inspirations. And this is something real that you can do tangibly right now, because it's only ever now. And so when you start to get into this concept of it's a battle to stay at rest, part of the spell of there's something coming, is this, and if you've been in the truth community, maybe for decades now, with like 9/11 till now, having it be the anniversary today of what 20 something years later, it's these types of things where we can start to look at it and choose it maybe to do a new story, maybe to kind of lost my train of thought with it, like the whole 9/11 thing, the whole thing with this everything that's going on in the world when it comes to this. Hopefully we can start to re-envision this as an awakening experience instead of some trauma, and looking at those spells though, especially like the something's coming, the they's coming to get us now, and this and that, and it's like, it's always a battle to stay at rest, and even like today when there's like, kind of like a tragic reminder, especially when you see how things spiraled out afterwards, when it could have just, could have been totally different, but like, hopefully, a lot of people have learned, maybe not, but, hopefully, we can move forward in a more I don't say progressive, but more positive, and looking at that, and not only just the people that died in New York City, but all the people that died in the Middle East as a result, and just innocent people, that were, just trying to live their lives, and really has like a wake up call to just focus on your own state of being and stop trying to control and dominate other people. We're all different, we're all unique, we all want to live in a unique way, and not to sit there and judge that way, like, oh, this is superior. It's like, if it's so superior, people will just adopt it, because it's working. It's like, if you're just focused on making like a heaven on earth utopia, in your local area first, it will spread like wildfire because we're all connected. And so what's working for some, it might feel like, oh, I'm just like this little, brain in a body. But once you realize we're all connected through like the quantum field, through God, through consciousness, as you embody that state, it'll start to reflect out into your reality, your perception of it at least. People in that same type of energy will start being added to your radar of like, oh, that person's already been doing that for like a decade. And it's like, oh, this is not something new. It's something that's been going on, and to look at these things as they come up, and not to be surprised or shocked by it, but like realizing that the retro causality of things happens in the present. And so it's like the past isn't drifting away to oblivion. It's always cycling back in this giant circle to confront us in the present. And so the more that we steward that present, and maybe you see some undesirable things that are happening, just look at those as past beliefs and assumptions, but that doesn't have to be who you are now. And so a big part of like shifting your identity is when these things happen in the present, not to get triggered and start to spin out and like, oh, this isn't working, and oh, look, there's something that just happened, I'm triggered, and now I'm just going to throw out everything I've ever learned about this. It's like, well, if you're that easily triggered, that you're that easily manipulated, so it's like stop just relying on these evidences of the senses, because as you do and you're able to be still through them, revise it, forgive it, let it go, all these types of words and labels to describe the same type of thing, but it's like an inner release. It's like, I'm not going to let this bother me anymore. I'm not going to be this person that gets triggered all the time. I'm going to be, somebody who isn't bothered by this. It's like, I want to be somebody who can go from point A to point B without being triggered 20 times on the way there. And a big part of that is not to identify so much with your thoughts, but to realize that, they're corresponding to a state, and that the more that you're able to just kind of just be still, be the observer of the thought, because you aren't the thought, you're the one observing it, and start connecting more with that kind of state, it makes it a lot more easy when something's triggering and you start getting these reactive thoughts, to be able to just hold your peace through them. Work on your breathing, let that all bring you into stillness and calmness, and just in and out. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. And a lot of times when you start moving in a new direction anyway, a lot of those resistant patterns start to manifest in front of you, and so it's like, because it shows you what you thought, so it's like, oh, I'm going to move in a direction of health and fitness or something like that, or abundance or prosperity. It's like, I'm going to start believing the promises of God are real. Then all of a sudden, the illusion of separation, this hypnotized mind, is going to start to come up with all of these excuses of why that's not real or possible for you. It's like prosperity or something, it's like, well, you're not worthy of that. It's evil. You would be, you don't deserve it. All of these stories that you tell yourself of why you wouldn't be a good steward of currency, of wealth, and wealth is beyond just some printed out fiat currency. I mean, it's creations, it's systems. That's kind of what, with like the handyman business, it's like, having liquid cash, is one thing. You can move it around and stuff like that, but it's more of like the knowing that there's more, and it's like there's not something to worry about, because it's like, oh, that can be taken care of in a day of work. It's just like, or a new job could just, 3 days worth of work, boom, some more money coming in to move around over here. It's like, it's a mindset, especially when you realize like, God's your provider. And when you start to realize like, most of the instructions in the Bible, when you gear it towards your consciousness and your state of being in the present moment, it starts to provide a better a reflection in your perception of reality that's more harmonious with love and not fear. Because what happens with fear a lot of times in these cycles of unconsciously creating those same things is you're listening to the wrong guide. So you're listening to the program mind that believes it's a brain in the body, and when it's telling you like, oh, well, you need to be afraid because of scarcity, part of that fear comes from believing scarcity is real when it's not. A lot, life is abundant. Scarcity is a man-made concept, and with that, fuck. And with that, it's easy enough to let it go, because once you start to see the abundance of things and how things all work together for the good, more and more and more of that experience starts to be like added to your life as those new beliefs and assumptions that you plant start to emerge in the present. And so, getting out of this concept of linear time, and it takes some work, but it's really not work. It's more of a battle to stay at rest mentally. Not getting carried away with fears and anxieties and what ifs and worst case scenarios and, oh, what if my job does this, and then I'll have to find a new way to provide for myself and my family. There's so much abundance when it comes to jobs right now. It's insane. Just in my town, everybody's literally hiring, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. I mean, because it's like it's not the lack of jobs. I think it's the people's mindsets or something. I don't know what the fucking deal is, but like it's not even my problem really. It's like but I hear that going on like amongst my friends and people in my area and just people on the internet too. It's just like, well, I'm getting peer pressured to take some shit I don't want to take, and it's like, well, then move in a different direction. Start your own business. I mean, it's like, what skills do you bring to the table in your community? What can you do for others? Whatever you can do for others, you can make yeah, you can be able to provide for yourself and your family. It's so weird, having now kind of experience like business, I guess. Having one, it's like it makes I don't know, things a little bit more I don't know, clarity. Because it's not rocket science. It's just providing something of value to somebody else. So if you can provide value to just homeowners or customers that you're providing a skill or service, you'll be okay. I mean, it's like, because God's your provider. So once you start moving in that direction, start taking action, things will start to metaphysically start to come together. Synchronicities, customers, oh, well, this person knows this person, and then all of a sudden, just start saying yes to the offers, I guess, that are coming your way. And try to be a good steward of it, and don't be afraid that you'll be fucked. I've been out in the outside of the beast now for a while, and it's great. It's peaceful. It's abundant. You got so much abundance at the moment. I got to hire a guy to help me do handyman jobs. Looking towards the spring to hire more people to help get jobs done. Yeah, I mean, if I can do it, you can do it. I mean, I didn't even really try all that hard to do a handyman business. It just kind of came together. Yeah, and it would come together for you guys too. I mean, it just depends on what you're doing. I found that working in actual physical reality is way easier to make money than in a virtual world. But in virtual world, I was like, and still do, licensing music and stuff. I had a vaporizer online dropship website at one point. That was okay, but then that caused some issues with like my payment processor, selling nicotine and vaporizers and shit. But like yeah, I found it to be so much easier in physical reality to make like say $500 compared to internet world. Unless somebody that's listening is like abundant, is just like, oh, here you go. I appreciate what you do, and then but it seems like face-to-face interactions in your local town is really kind of the way to go. And so I just wanted to bring that up. I'm going to talk a little bit. The chickens are still doing good. The turkey, I don't know. They had an issue yesterday where one of the chickens bit off a blood feather of the turkey. And it was just, I had to separate them for a while, and the turkey survived, and it's not the first one they bit off. So I'm trying to separate them more. I'm trying to get the turkey to be more, to act the way he does when there's food. When the other chickens are kind of messing with him. I mean, because he's kind of he'll fluff himself up like a peacock. And then I don't know if that triggers the other birds into like taking him down a peg. But he just does that most of the day. He just fluffs up and he kind of gets in the other birds' business, like in their bubbles. And he's like kind of grunts and shakes his feathers, and it's strange, but like yeah, but other than that, I think I'm gonna bounce. I just wanted to get on here and do a quick little update, just kind of do a quick rant while I had some time. But yeah, other than that, I appreciate you guys liking, sharing, subscribing. I also appreciate your financial support. Try to be more mindful of being, expressing gratitude for that, because I am thankful for that. And, I do put it to good use. I use it to fun, fund the handyman business, pay for my guy, do things for my community, and just like for my house and stuff, for the chickens and the farm, like the farm, but it's like the garden and yeah, and all that kind of stuff. And so yeah, I do appreciate it. And other than that, I think I'm about. So thanks for vibing with me for a bit, and have a good rest of your now, and God bless.